And the truth is, and we had to kind of gently communicate this, was that you're not a genius. There's nothing brilliant here. You rode an economic wave, right? Money was being shelled out. Clients were flush with cash, and you were there, and you had a relationship properly. But there's nothing spectacular here about your value proposition. Now, in the new economy, in a receding economy, in a tighter economy with more competition and lack of a relationship with prospective clients, your soft, squishy proposition just ain't gonna fly. So, and I want to just add another angle here to how I think about hard versus soft, and I think it's very much complementary to what you're describing. To me, like a hard value proposition it's specific to a type of organization, so a really clear target market, to a buyer within that organization, a very clear persona that you're speaking to, into a metric or an outcome. There's like a hard, tangible goal, like we're going to increase revenue, decrease costs, mitigate this risk, grow headcount, whatever the actual tangible metric is. Could be some internal index that they use to track. Doesn't matter what it is, but something really tangible that we're going to move the needle on. That's a hard metric. A soft metric, that's a hard offer rather, value proposition. A soft value proposition to me is like where, it's not really clear who it's for. It could be for any organization. The more broadly applicable it is, the more soft it is in my mind. It's not really clear who should own it. Like who within our organization needs to be involved with this. It's kind of broader in its appeal, a little bit softer. And it's not really clear what it moves the needle on. Like what's going to change as a result? What is the delta that we'll experience after engaging with it? And because it's soft and non-specific on all of those factors, it ends up being very easily ignored. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And I also think this is sort of related, but it just popped in my head of like soft offers. Often where consultants see sales success is where they're selling to people they've worked with in the past already, whether in that current, company or, in a previous life, they've worked with that person, that stakeholder in the past. And the reason that sold was not because of your offer. It was because that person is selling for you in the organization because they understand your skills, your capabilities, and things you're not doing a very good job, frankly, in communicating in your sales process as a consultant. And that's something I know from like my own personal experience and development in this topic over the years. Like that's where 90% of my sales came from. And so my offers were very, very watered down, weak, all the attributes that you just related. And as I've kind of had to learn, in my case, the very hard way of not getting a lot of sales with a soft offer and converting into this more very fixed, specific, offering on this harder offer, I have learned that if I'm going to sell to people I don't know, I have to communicate a bunch of stuff about myself, my methodology, the reasons that I'm offering this specific offer in this specific way, and this is the format, and this is why it's going to work. And I don't have to do that if I already know the person. And a lot of times I don't have to do that. So I bring that up because I know a lot of folks who listen to this podcast, they have built a business on word of mouth. And I think that sometimes this point is missed because you're not understanding why you need to focus on this if you want to grow beyond your word of mouth sort of network for your business.
Yeah, what got you here won't get you there, right? And this is the real faulty logic in the thinking that, okay, well, I have these clients and they came from my relationship and my network and word of mouth, so I just need to get in front of more people. That's what people often say. If I just get in front of more people, then, I have clients. Like I know I can close deals, but what you're severely underestimating is how much more work is required to convert a cold lead versus a warm lead where you already have a relationship and they already trust you. It's a completely different ballgame. Let me put it this way. You can win a deal on relationship or you can win a deal on value proposition. And you probably don't need both to be at 100%, right? So if your relationship's like 80% and your value proposition is at 20%, it adds up to 100, like you get there. Right. But that's kind of typical of a warm relationship, right? Like I know the person 80%, 90%, value proposition's not super strong, but they trust me. So they overlook the flaws and the blemishes in my value prop and we do business. When you go to the cold market, which I imagine the vast majority of our listeners like to do ultimately, right? Now, it's probably the reverse. Like your value prop needs to do 80% of the heavy lifting. And your relationship can't be zero. Like they still need to have some level of familiarity and trust with you. And that's where like the LinkedIn strategies that we teach are really important because they do need to trust you. Mm-hmm. but they don't need to know you intimately if the value proposition can stand on its own 2 feet on its own merit.
I agree. Yeah. And I think the other thing that goes along with that point is even if a consultant has a, very, very, very good, solid, hard value proposition, oftentimes they really struggle to communicate that effectively. And so they miss the opportunities, even if they've built their credibility in a market, they're missing opportunities in the market, especially with their cold network, because they might have something that's very tangible, but they're not communicating it in the language that their buyer understands. Something we see all the time is folks are communicating at more of a solution level, solution awareness versus problem awareness. And this is a concept in marketing, right? They're communicating this really solid offer, but they're saying like, this is the solution and you should buy the solution. And here's all the awesome things about the solution. But in reality, the buyer, the audience for this particular offer, maybe they're more problem aware. They don't understand solutions yet. And we have this really amazing offer that's not getting traction. So I bring that up too, because I'm always thinking like as a coach, right? How do I help an individual client that I work with kind of troubleshoot where they're going wrong? Is it because the offer is not strong, like it's a soft offer, it's a weak offer, and they've been leveraging credibility or trust, whatever, to kind of make any sales, or they've just not been making sales? Or is it that the offer is good, it's targeted at the wrong audience? That's like a common thing. Is the offer good, but the offer is not being communicated to the audience in the language that the audience understands, which is a very common occurrence that I see. Those are kind of the three main ways that I'm helping to kind of diagnose offer issues.
Let's dig a little bit into this question of problem versus solution awareness. And maybe just before we go too deep, define those terms for me. What does that mean?
Well, one, I think people should Google it because they'll get a better explanation than what I'm going to give. But if you have a target market that is problem aware, they are aware of pain points, but they're not aware of solutions to those pain points. So let's just say I'm talking to a 6-year-old. 6-year-olds are my target market, which, I mean, there's legalities with marketing to them, but anyway. And I'm like, hey, 6-year-olds, like, do you have a problem of your mom not giving you candy, right? And I could talk to them all day about their problem of wanting candy and not getting candy. And they understand that problem. I could activate their emotion around that problem. They intimately understand the problem of not getting candy all the time as they demand it. I couldn't go to them and say, hey, 6-year-olds, like, here's this super special candy drawer that you can hide from mom and dad in your room and have grandma and grandpa fill up for you. And I know this is an absurd example. That would be a solution aware audience that I would be marketing to, right? But a 6-year-old is going to be like, what are you talking about? I just want more candy, right? And so if we translate that to business audiences, problem aware audiences are acutely aware of the pain points, but they do not have the knowledge in themselves and the experience in themselves to identify what even maybe the problem roots down to and what the solutions to the problem could look like. They don't know what to Google for a solution to this problem. Whereas a solution aware audience is very more exposed to the problem, the root cause, and the solutions. And they're trying to compare different approaches to a solution or different types of solutions to make a decision about how to solve the problem. So,
yeah.
Did that answer it?
Yeah, I mean, I have a 6-year-old, so I'm following you really closely here. The challenge, I think my 6-year-old is smart enough to also see the value in your solution, even though she's problem aware. But yeah, it's really illustrative, right? Because that 6-year-old, their main pain in life is not enough candy. And if you say, well, I've got this special drawer that you can use, I don't even have candy to begin with, right? It's like a step removed from where they're at. And so that now they've got to make a bit of a mental leap to be able to go, that's a solution to my problem. And if I engage with that, and like there's too many leaps to make. That's frankly unrealistic for the average prospect to and even if they do, you're probably more effective in just speaking directly to the pain that they're aware of, which is that they don't have enough candy.
And I think like when you speak to solution, like problem aware audiences as if they're solution aware, you often accidentally create doubt because they now know that there is one solution, but they don't know whether there's more solutions, and they think there's got to be. And they're almost like now they've got to go on this Google search ChatGPT journey to figure out, what other solutions beyond you should they be considering. So you're almost inviting more consideration, more doubt if you speak to a problem aware audience as if they're solution aware. And that's where a lot of, times we see in the clients in 90 Day Pipeline where they'll be like, yeah, I got on the call with these people. I had a great sales experience. And then it all kind of fell apart like later in the process. that's because they almost weren't talking right to that audience at the beginning. It created a lot of speculation and doubt, and then it led to, a lower close rate, essentially, is the metric we're talking about. So I think it's important, so crucially important, to really know that before you set up your strategy and before you set up your content and before you do your marketing and your sales, because you're going to actually not say things that you're probably saying now, because you're wanting to kind of take the client on this educational journey to make them more solution aware, as opposed to like starting them there and having them have all this doubt.
Yeah. And I'm very curious. I have a take on this, and I'm not sure you and I have explicitly had this conversation. So I'm curious if you have a preference. Like, should people be targeting problem-aware audiences or solution-aware audiences, or is there no better or worse option?
I actually think it really depends on what your offer is and how differentiated your offer is. So like for solution aware audiences, your offer had better be the most transformative thing since sliced bread available in bags at grocery stores. Like it had better be very innovative, because you're going up against other solutions and your innovation needs to be innovative. Like, I mean, that's silly to say it that way, but it has to be, there's like a bar that's higher. So if it depends. And then for problem aware, in no way am I undermining anyone's solution, by the way. It's just a matter of comparative sort of like measures here. For problem aware audiences, once you get beyond this language issue of like your marketing not being the right thing for them, once you lock in on that, it's much easier to kind of have an offer that is, I wouldn't say not innovative, but it's just not as cutting edge, right? It's more of a standard kind of a consulting thing. It's not doing anything particularly different, but who you are, the way you're reflecting yourself to that problem aware audience is, what is ultimately driving them more to buy. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I think it just depends on what you are selling.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. I'll give you my take on it. And I'd be really curious to hear your take on this as well. I think problem aware audiences, because they are less opinionated, but they're by definition not opinionated about the solution. They don't even know what potential solutions are. What they're really looking for is a consultant who can come in and demonstrate an understanding of their problem. So it's kind of like a doctor-patient relationship, right? Where I go into the doctor's office and I've got all these symptoms, and I have no idea what the prescription is, what the solution is, what the fix is, right? But the moment the doctor starts to demonstrate some empathy and understanding for, oh, are you feeling this, that, and the other? Yeah, we're seeing a lot of this. Now I start to feel comfortable. Why? Because if they understand what I have and they can demonstrate an understanding of what I'm going through, there must be a solution. And I'm very unlikely to go get a second opinion from another doctor unless it's something really serious, right? I'll just trust them because they understood my situation. And that kind of speaks to how you want to handle a problem-aware client, and to your previous point. Versus solution-aware clients, they have opinions on what's going to work. They've done some research. They've done some due diligence. They have more strongly formed opinions. Obviously, this is a spectrum around what's going to work for them and what's not going to work for them. And therefore, your offer better really meet their criteria and do so in a differentiated and distinct way, because you're likely not going to change their mind about what's going to work and what's not going to work. You have to more fit their mold, so to speak.
Yeah.
Does that add up for you?
Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah. And one of the challenges with solution-aware audiences, not that this is not overcomeable, is you do kind of run the risk of becoming a bit of an order taker, because you have less flexibility in how you prescribe and differentiate the solution, because your clients are coming in with pretty clear opinions and perspectives on what's going to work, and they're looking for someone to fulfill those requirements.
Yeah. And I would say the antidote or the offset to that, like I agree with that, but the offset to that is having your target market be much more specific. Because like what a solution aware audience wants is the perfect fit. Oftentimes they're looking for solutions that are for all professional services companies or all manufacturing companies or all this or all that, right? And so when you can say it's not, this solution is like the perfect puzzle piece that fits, but it's not for all manufacturing. It's for this one particular type of manufacturing doing this very specific type of business with these problems. This is the solution. So stop looking at all these other solutions because they're not really the right fit. Then you kind of regain the control, if you will, over this order taking thing, because you're the only one who's made a solution for that market. And so and that's what we talk about a lot too. Like, how can you be a sample size of one in terms of like the solutions available to a particular market?
Yeah. And not to say that there aren't opportunities to educate the market. I mean, I think if I look at our value proposition as an example, 90-day pipeline, boutique growth, we speak to both audiences, problem and solution aware. A lot of our solution aware clients are solution aware in terms of LinkedIn being the tactical lead generation prospecting platform that they want to play on. So they're solution aware as far as LinkedIn goes. And they come into our orbit and then we go, whoa, hold on. LinkedIn's not going to solve your problem. LinkedIn's not going to save your business. You need this thing that we call positioning. And positioning informed by customer research and customer listening will help you differentiate and stand out in a crowded market. And then LinkedIn can work. So they're solution aware, but we're able to kind of educate them a little bit further on the pieces of the solution that they currently can't see. Yeah, LinkedIn's part of it, but there's more to it. And that serves as effective differentiation. So to your point, like if you're going to play that game, it better be different, better be like categorically different. So they can't really compare you to other options in the market.
100%.
Anything else you want to mention here, Anna, that we haven't talked about?
No, I think we've done a great job of digging into this.
So in summary, no room in the market for soft value propositions anymore. Those days are gone, probably not coming back, I think, fair to say. Would you agree?
Definitely not, especially with AI. AI does all soft value propositions for all companies. People solve their problems with AI softly.
It is now my doctor, my personal trainer, my therapist. It's all those things.
Yeah, client comms, everything.
Hard value propositions win in today's market and will continue to win in any. I mean, it's also kind of the perfect defense mechanism too, right? Like a hard, tangible value proposition will win in any market. And you really want to consider, second point here, whether you're speaking to a problem aware or a solution aware audience, there's no right or wrong answer. There's just a different approach to take. Yep. Anna, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.